What advice do you have for navigating the job search when one is of a certain age, i.e., over 50? Is there a way to communicate that I am happy to do a job that may be below the level of my previous positions and I would expect to be paid less without selling myself short? Good question. So, full disclosure, I am 37 and entered the field at 22. I've experienced and sometimes still experience the "you're too young to get it" or "you're younger than we thought" from looking at your resume comments. I've experienced it from the other end. However, I also know that it is working the other way too, and I've witnessed later in life age discrimination or ageism while in the field. So, with that in mind, I encourage you to get creative with your resume timeline and know that you don't need to disclose your years. If you are adding years to your education degree, if you're adding years to when you worked in those job titles, that is not required, at least if you're not putting these into a database. And it is totally acceptable, and especially for people who are in the more veteran stage of their career, or even if they're new in a particular career but more advanced in years, that don't put the timeline, because ageism is a thing and it's illegal. So they aren't supposed to be asking you about your age, let alone judging you about your age. I also recommend, especially if you can't get around disclosing those years or that feels uncomfortable for you, use the cover letter and or resume summary section at the top to communicate your desire to serve in X position. And a thing to keep in mind, I'm sure, unfortunately, that you have experienced ageism, but what is so interesting to me is that for lambs, we have a large number of second careers, people who come into the lamb field as a second career and therefore more advanced in age. So this is a normal phenomenon to have people who are 50 looking for entry-level jobs, and it's definitely something to remind people of, whether that is in the cover letter or during the interview if you're sort of getting that vibe. So address it straight on. And then as a reminder that 50-ish isn't old, you are in your prime as far as a career is concerned, whether it's lamb experience or not. You have had life experience and experience in another profession, which is a benefit to anybody who hires you. Not only are you now skilled and credentialed to work in the lamb field, but you're bringing some great experience with you. So definitely approach it and communicate it as a benefit, and just a reminder to them that you've got at least 10 to 15 years in this lamb field. So I know, unfortunately, you have and probably will be dealing with this, but hopefully these are some tips to help you get people to realize that they're not only wrong, but being a bit rude.